Looking at an area in New Mexico, Socorro, we had some samples that had been tested and we had some lab reports and they were quite keen on that. So that ran in the Daily Star. The story actually begins last year, in July of last year. I was invited to go to Roswell with a friend of mine called Ed Gurman. Ed lives in California, but for many years had lived in Albuquerque. Now Ed believed that an area in the desert near Socorro, New Mexico, he'd identified as being unusual. He believed it was the scene of a possible UFO crash site. He'd been there on many occasions by himself, taken other researchers there, and he was keen to take me. So after landing in Albuquerque and getting over the jet lag, we headed off in a 4x4 to a place near Socorro. I couldn't take you there on threat of death even now. I've no idea where it is, but Ed seemed to know. You see the picture on the screen now. We're going to a large box canyon, and that's the only signpost. As you go in, it says the box. It's just got the nickname's box, and you are quite literally off the beaten track.
If you have read Arthur Shuttlewood's first book, The Warminster Mystery, that report there bears very little resemblance to what actually Arthur had written. It was a lot more racy, a lot more pacey, and that unfortunately was one of Arthur's trademarks, in that he did, shall we say, embellish reports slightly. There is the great man himself. He was a local journalist. He was employed by the Warminster Journal on a freelance basis, and he was, at the time, a skeptic. It was not until a few months later that he actually had his own genuine UFO sighting that he actually became what we now term to be a believer, and he was actually the focal point behind the entire phenomenon. He really did push it. I think you'll probably find that Arthur was one of the proponents of now what we call media.
Stories like Alan's that we've talked about, you know, we reported the Milton Torres case in UFO Data magazine. Thanks to Gary, thanks to David Caton, who's not with us. David Caton, you'll have read several articles in the magazine. Fabulous researcher, he's retired, he was an aerospace engineer, and he served in the RAF. And he's got the confidence of people, you know, and he found through communications, if you like, he got hold of Milton Torres and spoke to him on the phone and got Milton's story. And that enabled us, and Prufos, and sorry, UFO Monthly as was, to report on the Milton Torres story a long time before it became public knowledge in these documents. And I think that's what good UFO research is about. And the beauty of it was when these documents are released and everybody's out there said, oh, it's some old guy just saying this, isn't it? He's just looking for a bit of fame and fortune. He ain't going to make no money, that's for sure, but he's going to get known by it. But all of a sudden, the pages are there in the public domain where he's named, Milton Torres, and his wingman ordered to fire on an unidentified flying object over the English waters. Amazing. But that information comes out. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say that one day the MOD are going to release information that's going to make us all go, told you so, it's real. They're not. The MOD is part of the defence of this country. And they deserve secrets. You know, every country needs secrets. You're not going to give the game away to the opposition or even to your allies. If you've got something that's a bit better than theirs, you want to keep them at an arm's length, just in case you fall out with them next year.